regular council meeting is called to order at 6 p.m. Present. Council President Sean, Councilmember Charbonneau, Councilmember Curtis, Councilmember Alfred Chase, Assistant City Clerk Treasurer Robin Churchill. In the audience or online, I have department head, I have the Chief of Police, I have the DPW department head, I have the fire chief, I have members of the fire department. Help me here if I'm missing anybody online, and we're good to go. Okay? Next item on the agenda is additions and deletions to the agenda. I'm going to remove number 6, the grant agreement resolution, single grantee potential vote, please. I am also going to change the wording of number 21, where it says set the next meeting, regularly scheduled council meeting March 3, 2025. That wording will be to set the next meeting, the annual public informational hearing followed by council meeting March 3, 2025. Okay, that. And then, okay, so we're still on additions and deletions. President Bashan?
I have a couple additions. First being the payroll warrant for the 20th. Second being accounts payable warrants from the 21st. And we have 2 coin drop requests. One for American Legion Post 21 on October 4th. And another one for American Legion Post 21 for August 8th. I have one additional small presentation. So the mayor.
Is that yours? Did you change your name?
I just crossed out
crossed it and put mayor.
with a Sharpie.
Thank
For your
you.
time as Newport's mayor.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Greatly appreciated, everybody, really. Councilmember Charbonneau, do you have any additions or deletions? Councilmember Curtis?
No, thanks.
Councilmember Alfred Chase?
No, thank you.
Assistant City Clerk Treasurer? Okay. On that note, we're going to the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Someone texted me and said they're trying to get in the meeting. Can you check Kristen City? I'm sorry.
Nobody's waiting.
Okay. And they have the wrong one. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Just let them into someone else's meeting and we'll move forward. The next item is the consent agenda, which now includes the additions brought forth by the President of the Council, Chris Vachon. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with those additions?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is contract for services, the City of Newport and the New England Municipal Consultants Limited. It's a ratification. We had discussed this, the zoning administrator had discussed this several meetings ago. We were just waiting for the other side to sign the agreement, and there was a deadline on it. So may I please have a motion to ratify the mayor's signature on the contract for services, City of Newport and New England Municipal Consultants LTD?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, comments?
Chris, and
Oh, sorry, oh, I'm sorry. Any further discussion?
It says on the first line the date that it starts, but there's no date.
Hold on, I think the silent one should have it. Is that the silent?
I think it was.
Okay, then you know, it's because they're probably waiting for that date once the software comes forward. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is a grant agreement resolution, single grantee potential vote. There she is. I recognize Ms. Turner. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here to gather signatures on the PM1 form. This might look very similar to another PM1 form that I presented in the fall. This just has updated contact for the second part, for the CEO, naming the mayor. And then this plus, just to update the table, is this plus the required permits will be submitted, and then hopefully we'll be relinquishing funds. So I anticipate that there won't be any hiccups, and we'll be settling up that grant really quickly with this final bid.
So, pretty much the motion that you're asking for is just for authorization for the legislative body to approve the grant agreement resolution. Is that correct?
Yes.
May I have a motion for the council to approve the grant agreement resolution, single grantee, form PM1?
So moved.
The motion, to a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, comments?
Chris, and then I have a question.
Okay. Who is the question?
I do.
Okay.
So, just because I'm still trying to make sure I'm catching up on all of these, Carter, I'm not sure if you're the right one to answer, someone else, but we have a match on this one of $119,845, right? So does that money, is it sitting somewhere waiting for us to do the match?
No, this match was funded through the bond vote, so that performs.
So that we'll have to borrow the money to provide the match?
No, I believe that it has already been paid, basically the labor and some equipment.
Got it.
So, yeah, and I know I'm working with Tom on this, so there's the match is actually only required like 20%, but we're well over that with all of the remediation work that happened at the playground. So most of actually the funds, a little bit of labor, but mostly the bond went to clean up the soils.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question.
So good.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Sure, we sign this one.
I think we need 2 more signatures on the. I think just me signs those, right? Do you sign the minutes and not the rest of us? Clark?
Where are the, so those are the envelopes? Did I just have? Well, I can sign anything tomorrow.
I think that's all done.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Form PVR 4155, Certificate No Appeal or Suit Pending Potential Vote. This is from Frank Cheney. He just needs to file with the listers to file a certificate that shows that there are no lawsuits.
Madam
Did I?
You
Yes.
skipped it.
Where are we? Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna go to number 7 and ignore that statement. We're going to go to approval of funding strategy developed by NDD with NCIC NHCLF to help with costs of contracts related to the TIF district application with a potential vote. So if you recall, we approved the contract with Wine & Burke. We have an MOU with NDD. Part of that MOU it says that we're all going to work together and that NDD is going to be instrumental in helping the city find different strategies and sharing those strategies and funding with the city. So there are opportunities for NDD to now quickly close on some monies. And in order to do that, the council needs to give authorization to let them go forward and do that. White & Burke, as you know, is in contract with the city, and White & Burke can be authorized to work directly with NDD by the city council if they so choose. And so I believe Councilmember Chase, do you want to give me the motion that you need to go forward with this funding
Do you have that piece of paper
opportunity?
you're just looking at?
Yes,
You have it.
I do.
Can I look
Did
at
I
it?
not give it to you?
No,
Are you sure?
positive.
Okay. You're absolutely fine. I didn't say here or anything.
Not that one.
Not this one. I think I guarantee. Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's this one.
So, yes, I can just speak to this is a two-part process, council members. The first part would be to sign an agreement with NCIC, which is now formally New Hampshire Community Loan Fund, though they still use the language NCIC, so it says both, through a program that they have called Small Business Professional Assistance to help with a first step in the White & Burke contract. And Newport Downtown Development would complete that application upon your approval. And then the second one would be with NCIC's technical assistance. NDD would create a proposal to be turned in by Friday the 28th this week to USDA Rural Business Development Grant funding for, we don't have the final number yet, but some significant number that will at least approximate the total cost of the application for the tax increment financing district. And if that proposal were approved by USDA, which we would find out probably in July, then there would be a 26% match that would come from the Walmart funds of the city, and the remaining 74% of the total cost would come from the USDA funds. So I think what you're proposing, Madam Mayor, is that we take these and we do these separately, right? So the language would be first, that City Council approve the funding strategy developed by Newport Downtown Development with NCIC and New Hampshire Community Loan Fund to help with the costs of contracts related to the TIF district application, which includes authorization for NDD to pursue a $25,000 proposal to NCIC NHCLF, Small Business Professional Assistance Program, 70% of which would be paid by the grant, with a 30% match of $7,500 from the Walmart funds.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comment? Okay. Ms. Grimm?
Laurie Grimm, City of Newport. So I just want to make sure I understand, based on the information from the last meeting, where we entered the contract with White and Burke to even study the fact that we could possibly even qualify for a TIF district. It sounds like we're getting the cart before the horse. Obviously, there's money somewhere that can help. Is this money going to go towards that? What's the word I'm looking for? Discovery.
White and Burke?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm asking is, so originally we had looked at the money from the Walmart funds to go to that whole discovery process. So now what you're saying, there is funds, possible funds available should we qualify, that will cover 74% or a percentage of the White and Burke.
So when we went into the contract, and then I'm going to ask you to jump in. When we went into the contract originally, the council, it was identified to the council that there were also these other opportunities to go and get other funding if possible. And we approved that ability for NDD to go and look for other sources of funding without being specific. And they quickly did, and they went out and they identified some areas that all blends in with, say, if White and Burke spends and this is an example,
Yes.
spends $50,000, could this particular grant cover a portion of that $50,000 for phase 1 research? So that it all blends together. It's not separating it and saying, we chose a project in the TIF, it's been approved, and that money would go to do that project. We're nowhere
Gotcha.
near that.
Right. So
But I'm, go ahead.
No, so I guess what I'm asking is, because this is just discovery. We aren't, it sounded like there was an application for a TIF, but this is really just discovery to see if we even qualify for a TIF.
White and Burke does that
right. They do all
portion.
that.
We have not even touched that yet.
Yes. Okay.
We haven't even heard from them on what they need from us to say, this is what I need, send us this information, City of Newport, so that we can make a determination if in fact you even stand a chance.
Right.
But now I'm going to just turn it over for a little bit more clarification to Councilmember Officer.
I think you've pretty well named it. The contract with White and Burke is a 2-part contract, $50,000 each part. First part was for feasibility, and the second part was to carry out the actual application process. White and Burke made it clear to us that that $100,000 is not the total cost of all of the related expenses regarding a TIF application. There are likely to be other kinds of fees, and I'll just list some possibilities, like brownfields mitigation investigation or engineering studies or those kinds of things. And we don't yet know exactly how much all that would add up to, because it will be determined in the kind of feasibility and study phase. So basically the first motion, the one that we've made, would be to get us up and running on the White and Burke contract effectively from now through the midsummer, with help from this Small Business Professional Assistance Program that NCIC runs. And then, if the way be clear, the USDA might then approve our proposal sometime mid to late summer that would then provide 74% of the funds needed for the following phases going forward, all of which we'd have to come back and talk with the council about.
Thank you.
I believe you have a question.
Yes, I was interested in you mentioning NCIC, because I seem to think the alphabet soup is terrible in my mind, but I seem to think that NCIC seemed to be dying at one point and disappearing, and Mike, I forget his last name. who used to work, Welsh, thanks, who used to work for them, doesn't anymore, and it was just sort of disappearing. It's alive and well and living in New Hampshire, Vermont, where is it?
So Mike Welch left last year, remember? He became our independent consultant. He chose to leave him, his reasoning for that, none of our business. We just used him as the consultant, and then he stayed with us through December, if you recall. Now, as far as anything else you want to add?
Sure.
Go for it.
You're absolutely right. NCIC was, all of the media that I saw said NCIC was going out of business.
Yes.
As of about, 15 months ago or so. And then I think, in kind of an amazing moment at the last minute, New Hampshire Community Loan Fund basically absorbed NCIC, including some of the existing staff. So for instance, Caitlin Robinson, who's been working with us on this project, was staff of the old NCIC. And for reasons I don't fully understand, they still continue to use the name NCIC. And I've been trying to be careful to unite the two, and whenever I correspond about it, to say we're talking about NCIC, which is now officially New Hampshire Community Loan Fund.
And most probably they took the legal and intellectual property to continue.
Makes sense to me. So that's
I
why
don't have
it's-
their contract, but you would think
Thank
they
you.
would do that.
And while we're speaking about confusion, here's another piece of confusion. Which hat are you wearing for this presentation? Are you NDD, as your badge says? Are you the council member? I don't understand how this all gets divvied out, because you have both roles, and there are ways of working that, but it's never clear which hat you're speaking from, and I think that's really important, particularly with some of the confusion in the past. And when we're talking about the Walmart fund, some of your salary in your day job comes from there.
No, that's not true, Ann. I'm sorry, Pam, that's not true.
So let's start with the hat you're wearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I, let's see, where I want to begin. Newport Downtown Development's board,
Yes.
at its January meeting, approved the staff, which is basically me at this
Yes,
point,
I know.
moving ahead to try and understand how we might work with NCIC on this funding strategy. So I was the one who met several times with Caitlin Robinson.
Yeah.
And there was another piece of the puzzle, which was we actually got a smaller grant from the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board to pay NCIC for their technical assistance. So to reduce the cost
Right.
in general. So I was wearing that hat, NDD's hat, when I was doing all of that work. I then wrote to the mayor and said, here are the actions that I think would be necessary
Okay.
for us to move ahead. And I assume that when the mayor turned to me tonight and asked me to review, she was doing so in my role as kind of the most knowledgeable council member
Right.
tonight. So I appreciate the confusion.
And if you flip into the seat where Madam Mayor is sitting right now,
Yeah.
how will we know which hat you're wearing? And I think it's important that we do know.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the answer is, we have both the president of the NDD board and the chair of the Economic Development Task Force here tonight. And I would assume, going forward, that any of these kinds of presentations around the technical aspects, that they would be the ones to make those presentations for us.
Okay, and the second part of my question is, USDA is on a chopping block. It's actually being massacred as we all sit here tonight. If that money doesn't come through, and so little of their money is going anywhere right now, how does this move forward?
Yeah.
What's plan B?
Okay, so I just want to bring it back to exactly where we are on this agenda item. So when you're asking if it doesn't move forward, what is the if that you're talking about?
If what the issue on the table,
The fund, this specific
this
funding?
specific funding,
Okay.
which has USDA's name attached to it, if that funding doesn't happen, is there a plan B?
So there's a Plan A, which is already the funding for
Right.
this
This is
from
Plan B.
Weidenberg. This is Plan B to
And-
assist planning.
Can it go straight back to Plan A, or will it have to come back?
Nothing
to Plan B?
changes Plan A.
Okay.
Is that right? Okay. And we have further down on the agenda, an item that's gonna help clarify this going forward. So right now, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Can we do the second?
Yes, I will, as soon as we're done, I will shoot out those emails.
Okay. So the second motion then, it leads with the same language as the first and then finishes differently. So it would be, the City Council approves the funding strategy developed by Newport Downtown Development with NCIC, NHCLF to help with the cost of contracts related to the TIF district application, which includes authorization for NDD to pursue, and this is where it's new language, a USDA RBDG proposal that Newport Downtown Development will prepare for submission by February 28th, 2025 to pay for up to 74% of the remaining costs, which we don't fully know yet, estimated to be somewhere probably in the neighborhood of $200,000 total, associated with the TIF application, 26% of which will be a match provided by the Walmart funds.
I have a motion,
Second.
a motion and a second. Any comments? Ms.
Just
Hopkins?
on the-
Please come up.
Okay, sorry.
No, please come up so they could hear
Oh,
you.
okay, yeah, sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
The old way. of
They
doing
just
things.
can't see you.
Jennifer Hopkins, resident. My question is really on the TIF district. If you go ahead, if right now we have 200,000, which hopefully is going to be covered by grants and Walmart funds, to apply, then what happens from there in you build the construction, so we're on the hook for construction before we get somebody to come in, or, you know, are we the cart before the horse with the TIF district, I guess is my question. Do we need the district now, or do we need the district when somebody comes and says hello?
I'm going to let you speak, and then I am going to jump in on that because I hear what you.
I wonder if it might be helpful to hear from Dave.
This is.
Okay, so I'll try and answer the
Try,
question for you.
if you can't, you can.
The short answer is that the process is to try and get a complete application before the state for a TIF district. Approval by the state can take several months at least. And the wisdom that we have learned over the last year is that it is wise to try and go into the application process with at least one development project that is ready enough so that there's a developer who's interested and you've worked out some of the components. Because once the TIF district is approved by the state, the city of Newport has 10 years in which to complete all of the projects that are covered in that application, which we don't yet have. We don't even know exactly how to define that district yet. All of that will happen in the process. So the short answer, I think, is when the TIF district application goes in, best practice would be that there would be at least one development project ready to go, assuming that it gets approved.
So now I'm going to jump in a little bit here. So that is the high level, okay? No application would go through before it came to the council with White and Burke identifying if in fact there was even the feasibility of it happening and it going to the public. Okay, that would be number one. So if there was, let's say they decided they want to put a new roof on the library. Please, I'm just making this up. But on the library, and they were going to revamp, the library, and it was going to become a museum, whatever it was going to happen. Okay, that entire process would go through White and Burke with a feasibility study. It would then have to come back here. It would be identified. White and Burke would come in and would do the presentation. There would be open back and forth. It would still have to go before the legislature. So we're nowhere near, okay, defining or accepting a TIF district at this point or even through the phases. All White and Burke is doing right now is saying, this has a probability of working or it doesn't.
So this is stage one and dollars one, and then there's going to be dollars two of.
Yeah, I think there's about 4 or 5 phases.
Okay, so do we get a draft application out of this process of stage one and two, which is what I would say you're doing right now?
It would be not only a draft application, it would probably go through many drafts. Okay, it is not like a form, you know, these little forms, and
It's
there's
just
a lot.
shelf-ready type thing.
Right, okay, and you know, there's got to be, there's Act 250 involved, there are a lot of outside elements involved here. All of this is trying to capture is where else could we grab potential funds if we do actually get something through. So it's an identification at this point, and we won't know even if this particular funding happens.
Work is still on the table when you get there.
Exactly.
Indeed.
But thank you. But I know this is complex, and I know these votes right now are kind of general. But we haven't even brought White and Burke to the table yet, asking us for information. They have to first ask the city for information. We're nowhere at that phase yet.
We haven't paid them yet.
Well, they don't get paid till they ask us. Okay, but we did reserve the funds for them, so they're gonna work.
Okay.
But thank you, okay? So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Now I'm going to go to where I went before.
I give this to.
Yes. Form PVR 4155, certificate, no appeal or suit pending, potential vote. Frank Cheney was not able to be here tonight. He had to go deal with a family situation. And all this is a form that he needs to file that states that there are no appeals or suits pending for actions to recover taxes. And this has to be on the grant list. And he has signed this to show, in fact, that it is true. And so may I have a motion for the council to sign Form PVR 4155, certificate, no appeal or suit pending.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. And then Robin, will you make a copy of that and give the original to Frank so he can send it over? Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is the Assistant Fire Chief appointment in executive session, 1 VSA Section 313A1F, potential vote. May I please have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the appointment of the Assistant Fire Chief and invite the Fire Chief and members of the fire department into that executive session.
So moved.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. The motion is carried, and we are in executive session. We are out of executive session. No action was taken.
Sorry. I move to appoint Andrew Carbine as second assistant fire chief, effective immediately.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Comments? Further discussion?
Clark was
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. I would like everybody to know that Andrew Carbine is now the second assistant chief. He comes with history of being a great teacher, a great instructor, a great leader, and he has the respect of the officers and his community, and I thank him for stepping up. He is more than qualified. The next item on the agenda is the grant update.
I don't have anything to say.
Okay. So we're going to pass on the grant update because, as I said, Mr. Cheney is not available. The next item on the agenda is the CSO loan sign document and supporting information discussion. Mr. Bernier, I just need you for a second. This is just pretty much a ratification of that CSO document that was signed by you in the
Oh,
church.
and Jim, oh, okay, I didn't know what that was.
So I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure that we didn't let anything slip through, that the council ratifies that, or is aware that it was signed. We don't really need a full ratification, just that they're aware. So this was signed. This appears to have been something that goes way back. I identified the loan number. Finally, okay, we were trying to identify the complete file. It appears that it goes back to Aldrich and what's the engineer's full name?
Aldrich and
Right? And this has been going on for many years, and it's just something that keeps getting renewed, and the treasurer signed up on this, so.
The initial one was to do the engineering for the Buffalo pump station. This addition is to do the engineering so we can utilize the, I think it's $784,000 that we receive for the APRA funds for CSO projects, to do the siphon across the river and line the pipe through Gardner Park, the sewer line. So this is to help with the engineering.
Right. So that was just for clarification for the council, since this was done, and the treasurer signed off on it, and I just want to make sure they're aware it's taken care of. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Weidenberg decision-making, team leadership picks, conflicts of interest, discussion with a potential vote. So we have a contract with Weidenberg. There's going to be now a lot of discussion and a lot of assignments from the city and through NDD, and we have Ryan Gray, correct me if I'm wrong, who is going to be handling from the management side of NDD, working with the city on that portion of the TIF as we move forward. And so the president of the council, Mr. Sean, and myself were talking, and we want to make sure that there's no breakage going forward, that it's the mayor who speaks with Weidenberg and then the president of the council. If there's any conflict, I would ask the president to step in, we would handle it together and so on, or if necessary, we would come back to the council and ask somebody else to step in. So I want to make sure going forward, since you're going to have a change of the guard, that process continues. that it will be, according to the charter, the mayor who should be speaking with them. President of council should be in the loop as much as possible, because you want to be sure that the president of the council is aware of everything that's going on. You need to work in tandem in case the mayor's not there for any reason. And so you want to continue that. So I would like a motion, please, to have the, when it comes to White and Burke decision-making and team leadership and picks and who's going to be working within the city, that it is the mayor and the president of the council who are the communicators and make those decisions.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion and a second. Any comments?
I do, but let's go ahead.
No, come on, because we have a lot to do.
So I guess my only question is, again, Rick becomes mayor, Rick is head of NDD. What does that
The
mean?
president of the
Then
council
the
will
president of
step
council
in
would
if there's
step
a
in.
conflict.
Okay.
And if there's a conflict with the president of the council, they will come back to the council and they will designate somebody on the council to step in.
Okay. Just
Okay?
clarifying.
So that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Okay? So I have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Does this go along with the MOU signs and?
Yes. Mhm. Good.
So who's White and Burke?
They work for the city. They're the consultants for the city on this entire TIF contract.
But who are they dealing with?
Well, right now they're dealing with me and they would deal with Chris. But as we move forward, we want to make sure it continues to be the mayor and the president of the council, so you have the two people in case there's a conflict, and it's always good to have the president ready to step into the shoes of the mayor if the mayor cannot proceed. And that's how we've been working, like with the former president of the council, Mr. Wilson. I tried to keep him in the loop as much as I could. When Chris came on board, we've been participating in everything together so that this way you're aware of what's going on.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So I just want to be sure I understand.
Mhm.
I'm supportive of this, makes sense to me. I want to be clear that, like the work that NDD did with VHB over the last year or a little bit less to create the master plan, there may be day-to-day coordination questions that Brian Gray or Dave LaForce or others from NDD would carry out, but this is primarily related to signing contracts and those kinds of
Yeah,
agreements.
oh,
Is that
they
your-
can't
that's
sign
your-
contracts, only
Of
you
course,
can
that's-
sign, right, but what it says, what I said as well, was that you have leadership picks, so if you needed to bring somebody in to help manage.
I see.
The mayor and the president of the council have the authority to so do that. So you don't have to say, oh my gosh, it's 3 o'clock, I need to have somebody come in, and you have that authority and just keep everyone in the loop.
Okay.
And that's how it works now, okay? So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. I already brought it back. I apologize. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is the renewal of Casella SWIP agreement with a potential vote. This goes to
Goes to Frank, it's already signed.
Mr. Bernier, I just need you to validate what I say is correct. So we have been working with Casella. We have had an agreement for services for several years, and we have this SWIP agreement that we continually get an extension of the agreement for services. I spoke with you, you said you were fine with that. Is there anything that would stop us or you think should stop us from approving this?
No, I don't know, because it helps us considerably. They help to track everything, they advertise for us, they take care of all the state requirements. It's been a huge help for us. It goes much more smoothly since they kind of took it over for us. And the city manager was always the one that handled that, so I'd prefer if you kept Casella and Lloyd.
Yeah, we approved it last year. I remember this. We went through that. And so it should come through the council always to, you know, when it comes to contracts. Okay, and so can I have a motion, please, to approve the renewal of the Casella SWIP agreement?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any comment?
I basically made these comments last year. Number one, the city manager or whoever is doing it has to provide all of the data to Casella anyway. So you're paying something like, I recall, $20,000 and upwards now.
No, $4,000.
4,000, I'm sorry. Oh. Okay,
This is
whatever you're
something else.
paying, whatever you're paying, whatever you're paying. I didn't see the contract, so I don't remember it that well. But I do also remember another thing that sticks in my craw about the contract, and that is that as part of it, they go in to the schools and educate our children about recycling, etc. And they go in and there are insignia on top of every document that they give out. One is with the insignia of the city of Newport, and next to it is the insignia of Casella on all of those documents that go to the children. And I really think that educating the children is a public duty and should be done by somebody from the city who would be neutral, totally neutral about educating the children and wouldn't put those insignias together and start out you thinking that there
So I
aren't
want
any.
to come a little bit tighter to what we're
Yeah.
talking about and get off of the
Well, that's
political realm.
part of what the duties are in that amount of money that they are being given by the city. That's one of the things they do. And at least I would ask you to extract that and extract the use of our insignia on those things that go to the school, but also not have them go to the school and quote, educate or possibly propagandize with respect to kids and waste management.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. I am going to, Mr. Bernier, I will shoot you an email tomorrow and copy Casella, and then if you could just send them whatever they need. Okay, thank you on that. The next item on the agenda is the broken meter and other meter issues, a discussion. Okay, so. The Treasurer's Department had approached us and said that they have some broken meter issues and other meter issues, and there's, you know, outstanding bills with a lot of money, and they just keep accumulating, and they would like to know what the council would like to do, how they would like to assist the Treasurer's Department in addressing those outstanding bills and people who just won't let people go in and fix the meters or refuse to have their meters fixed. So I was speaking with the treasurer today, and we were discussing putting together a formal letter that he could send out that identifies these are the ramifications if you don't respond or let us fix the meter. But I wanted to throw it at the council if you had any ideas of what you'd like to do. And Robin is here to, if she can, because she was kind of put here today because the treasurer didn't feel well, assist with any issues she may be aware of. Or at least ask you to think about this, put it on your next formal meeting, and don't let it slip away, because they do need to address it, because they're just sitting there and they have a handful of these and they need to address it.
Does like VLCT or anything have like a boilerplate
Yeah.
letter?
Right, and so that's what I was talking to the treasurer about, and we would get that, and then you could approve, the council could approve that format.
Yep.
But I just think that they need some assistance right now in figuring out how to tell these people, if you do not let us in or you do not fix this, these are the ramifications, you have to pay for it, and it doesn't go away. Or we need to come out and fix it, and then we could look at the numbers. The key is that they can't just say, we don't want a meter fixed, and block off Tom and his people or whoever need to get in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna get some of those formats, give them to the treasurer, and then you all just bring this back to a further discussion when you all decide, because right now it is an issue. Are you all good with that? Are you good with that, Robin? Well, we can do that this week and we can get that done, and then you can deal with that. It's more internal operational choices, but at least I wanted to make sure you understood what was going on. Good?
Yep.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is a memorandum of understanding between the City of Newport, Vermont, and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 93, Local 2413, AFL-CIO, potential vote. 2 meetings ago, we went into an executive session on this matter, and when we came out, it was said that it was approved pending no changes to it. And so Nat and I had asked if we would just wait for this meeting to make sure they sent it back signed. And then we received it signed, so I just need a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the memorandum of understanding between the City of Newport, Vermont, and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Council 93, Local 2413, AFL-CIO.
So.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Do you have the signed
I
copy?
do. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Madam Mayor,
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. I will send this over to our attorneys. I just want, yeah.
Scan it.
Yeah, if you could scan it, and just shoot it over to Marilyn or Brian. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is an employee evaluation executive session. We can remove that right now. The next item on the agenda is the Newport City Armory. Potential executive session, 1 VSA section 313A1F and or section 313A2. May I please have a motion to enter into executive session regarding the Newport City Armory?
So moved.
I have a motion and I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. We are in executive session.
The night, we may take it back.
We are out of executive session. No action has been taken.
I'll wait until the room's still back up. I move to approve the mayor to sign the purchase of sales right of first refusal for the Armory property at 540 Main Street, Newport.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. I'm going to ask our police chief to step up here for a second. If you would be so kind to just re-emphasize again, we are all aware, but I want everyone to hear it again, okay? How you are confined right now and the needs for this to happen.
Yeah, I think for those that were at the public forum that we held down in the gymnasium probably a year ago, just kind of reiterated the need for a space that was solely dedicated to the police department that's not shared space with the public. We've had numerous interactions in the public space where people are trying to come in to see the police department, and those interactions should be in confidence that they can come in here, they can make a report, they're not seen by members of the public. For any of those interactions, I think that's hugely important. The other part of it is just the safety and security.
Got it? Okay, thank you.
The bigger part is just the safety and security of this building. And I've said it before, there's an entrance in the front that's open to the public all day long, people coming and going. There's an entrance down back. There's senior meals that go on every Wednesday. There's a ton of people in and out of this building. It worries me if something bad's gonna happen in there. Our interview room is located downstairs. If you've ever tried to interview anybody down there when they're playing basketball in the gymnasium, it's horrendous. We've had to leave that location because you can't hear anything. Our processing room is downstairs below the gymnasium as well. The space that we have in the garage where we park our cruisers is very limited. We can't even get all of our cars in there. Our evidence room is not shrinking, but we've outgrown that space as well, and we're going to have to revamp that in the future. We've had vandalisms happen to cars out in the parking lot, several vandalisms to our own officers' vehicles that are parked out there because it's not safe and secure. Have equipment stored all throughout the cities at different facilities. Thank you to Tom, because we store a lot of stuff over at Public Works. I rely on state police, rely on the sheriff's department to store cars that we've seized that we're applying for warrants for, or if there's major accidents or something like that where we have to hang on to the car for a certain amount of time. Currently have a vehicle over at Tom's wastewater plant that we're trying to seize for forfeiture stuff. So it's just a scatter of stuff all throughout the city just because of inadequate space that we have. But I think the main thing is just the safety and security of the police department and sharing that with public that's in and out of the building on a daily basis.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna throw it out for comment. It is comments, not questions and answers. Any comments?
I don't know how to do this as a question. I would like to know whether or not the, what the cost of the property is, and two, I would also like to know whether or not it was budgeted in this year's budget or in next year's budget, and how are we going to pay for it, by loan or outright expense?
Okay, so I'm just gonna speak generally to that without answering specifics, okay? This is a right of first refusal.
I'm sorry.
It's a right of first refusal,
I'm sorry, I missed that part.
okay? And there is an element in here of how to assess it, et cetera, if it so goes forward. And if there's not a meeting of the minds, it's just a right of first refusal. So the city has been granted the first right. Okay. I have
There's a hand up online. Ms. Beerling. Ms. Beerling.
Ms. Beerling?
Yeah, I just want to come back in and dovetail off of Ms. Chiarello's concerns. I understand that it's a right of first refusal, but if you guys do at that point in time, you know, decide to move in the direction of, you know, exercising your right to accept, you know, to put a bid in, is it in the budget? I mean, this is a real problem. I mean, we've got financial problems in the city right now, and I just feel like we're just adding more onto it. I support the idea. I actually think that it would be great for Chief Bingham and his officers to have the armory as the police station. I truly support it, but I want us to go into it in a way that is deliberative and mindful, and I'm really fearing that that's not happening. So, you know, I think that the residents need more detail as to how this is going to unfold.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Everybody should be assured that this has been an in-depth discussion with experts and witnesses and people who actually have experience and lawyers. And this has been well thought out. And while I disagree with a lot of the statements just made, I appreciate the comment. Mr. Ortiz.
Adam Ortiz, Newport resident, speaking on behalf of the cadets. I'm not affiliated with the cadets at all, but if the armory gets used as a police precinct, can the cadets still use the classroom?
So thank you for that comment. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried, and you have to cut a check for $500 at the time I sign. That's a deposit, everybody, just to hold the right. Okay, that's the consideration, and we have that in the budget. So. Let me give you this. It's just the draft in case you don't have the one that. Sure. So just so you know, it's in case the transition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, comments by members of the public. Members of the audience are reminded that members of the press are present and that these proceedings are being recorded for current and future broadcast over the city's cable television channel. Members of the audience are further reminded that Newport City Council meetings are for the purpose of allowing council members to conduct city business. City council meetings are the only time the city council discusses, deliberates, and decides upon city matters. City council meetings are held in public to promote transparency and accountability in government, but are distinct from public hearings or town meetings in that they are not meetings of the public. Members of the public shall be afforded a reasonable opportunity to express opinions about matters considered by the city council. To conduct orderly and efficient meetings, I kindly request the public's cooperation and compliance with the published guidelines when participating in the meeting. I thank you. When your name is called, please step up to the microphone, state your name and residence or affiliation. Please speak only when recognized. Speak through the mayor. And you will have 2 minutes for your comment. These are comments. The president time. Okay. Ms. Chiarello.
Let's see if I can do 3. One is the water and sewer budget never got voted on and apparently will not be voted on prior to the election. I haven't seen a copy of the new city report, annual report, But in all the other annual reports, there's language in each of these reports that says, the City of Newport Budget Report, Council approved on, last time, January 15th, 2024, and it includes all the budgets. It doesn't say, oh, stop here, and we didn't approve the sewer and water budget, but you did approve it last year. Just in terms of what you have put possibly in the new annual report, and I say this because I really think it would be unfortunate to slide back into not approving the water and sewer budget, because what that did for all those years is the council did not have real eyes on that budget, and we know how money sort of slid one way and the other, and didn't get, and the expenses exceeded the amount of money that was coming in. And so I'd ask you to really look closely soon about the water and sewer budget. I think the mayor and this council have done an amazing job at covering many of the wrongs that occurred prior to your regime. But there's a lot left to do, and I really am concerned that the TIF, the impetus towards the TIF, can absorb a lot of your attention, and you won't have time to do the other things that still need to be done. And so I really ask you to remember that there's still a lot left to do on just everything else, and including water and sewer. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Latz.
I'm Laird, City of Newport. We have an election. We do it by Australian ballot. However, that does not mean that we have to be deprived as a city of having a town meeting. And that is an issue that's been raised recently by the state. They have pointed out we should have a town meeting. I assume that would be the night before. It's not just to read the warrants and allow us to, quote, comment on those. We have the right to have a full town meeting if that's what citizens want. And I really want to emphasize that, because I think we're led to believe that, yeah, we can listen to the warrants when nobody really wants to hear them, and we can comment on those, but we have been told in the past that we should shut up after that. And there was an attempt last year to change that. And I really want to make sure that going forward, we get to have our town meeting, because it's the only opportunity that most citizens have to speak without being restricted to 2 minutes or whatever. So Monday coming is not a city council meeting. You may have some city council business then, but it should be a town meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Bjorling?
Yes, I wanted to go back, hang on, I'm having to flip screens here. So it was the memorandum of understanding with the union. And you stated when you were anticipating voting on it, that it had come up in an executive session a week or two, or a meeting or two ago, and I don't recall the statement that you said you were waiting for it to come back with no changes. I just recall that it was no action taken, and I tried to raise my hand tonight, and I did so in plenty of time, but I failed to recognize me, because I would like to know what it is. What is this about? There's no transparency. I mean, it's going to be incorporated as part of the contract with the union, which is a public document, so I don't understand why it wasn't attached to the agenda. I don't understand why the public has no knowledge of what this memorandum of understanding with the union is all about. Would you share some of that with us?
Thank you for your comment. Ms. Grimm?
Laurie Grimm, City of Newport. I just want to take a moment tonight personally to thank members of the council, just like Ms. Cirillo did, for all your hard work over the last year. Chris, for being a good president of the council, appreciate your hard work. for everyone who's taken the time to come. And I want to personally thank here in public you, Madam Mayor, for all the work you've done for the last 19 months. I wish you were staying, sorry. It has been a horrible time with the people who have come against you. I think it's been unfair to you. I think it's been unfair to our city. The amount of time that you all have had to spend with lawyers unnecessarily, week after week after week. And my hope is that those people who, and it comes from all over the area, who think poorly of the men and women who sit at this table for personal things or whatever is happening, understand and take the time to come and sit in these chairs. Look, just like those of us who take our Monday nights to come here and ask questions, because we're not here to just ask willy-nilly questions. We want to know. We want to be part. We want to help our city. And I think it's despicable what's been going on for the last 18 months. And you've done a great job at finding the things that need to be found. And just like Ann said, there is more work to do. And I hope you guys don't forget to do it.
Thank you. Ms. Hopkins?
Jennifer Hopkins, resident of Newport. My comment was, as usual, on the personnel policy, but I think I will pick up, and I was going to mention that to thank the sitting members of the council for all that they've done this year, and I think we have to remember and mention this, that there are a lot of things that have been left on the table unresolved. And in my case, personnel policy, water and sewer budget, there are a whole lot of things. And I think, yes, you guys have spent a great deal of time doing a lot of stuff that possibly was redundant, not necessary, time-consuming and difficult. But I think that this is why we elect you. It's what we hope that you will do, and we appreciate the fact that you guys do it. But I think, you know, we need I would call it a tickle file of all the things that still are undone that need to be addressed going forward. And so thank you, and your work isn't done for those who remain.
Thank you for your comment. The next item on the agenda is a new business. President Bashan?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Charbonneau?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Curtis?
Unfortunately, yes. First, I want to thank you for being here for 18 months. Finding all the things wrong and fixing them. And I know you don't share everything with me, but you share quite a bit with me. And the almost daily negativity. I can't imagine how it's affected you. It even goes as far as stalking, where people are in your husband's place of employment looking for you. They're standing outside your home. I just can't imagine. So I thank you.
Thank you.
For what you've done. Well, now it's my turn. I've been accused of something that is a complete and utter false allegation. The timing is very surprising. It's one day in a week from voting and one day away from the candidate forum. There's a small evil group of people. I know who they are. And what I found is the more questions that I have asked, the more resistance I get and the more attacks I get on social media. There are some serious financial concerns within the city. I am aware of at least 2 federal investigations that are ongoing. Something may come of them, something may not come of them. So don't believe everything you read or hear. To me, it's a complete false allegation.
Thank you. Councilmember Chase?
No, thank you.
Assistant City Clerk Treasurer? No. I'm gonna remember that face for a long time. The next item on the agenda is old business. President Vachon? Councilmember Charbonneau?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Curtis?
No thanks.
Councilmember Fucci?
No, thank you.
Assistant City Clerk Treasurer? I would just like to ask the president right now if both the annual report and the auditor are up on the website.
They are posted.
Okay, so you can read the annual report, they're up on the website. Okay, as well as the audit. I would like to say one thing because I greatly appreciate everybody's, support, and, it's tough being up here, but it is what it is. And I know that everybody gets to shoot the messenger, and I was your messenger. And so it's okay, but I hope going forward that everybody takes a deep breath and tries to give the people who step up here and grab these seats that respect and understanding that they really are working, okay? And they're not always going to do exactly what you want, but they're going to prioritize based on the day-to-day needs of the city. And I do believe that every single person who's sitting up here has the best interests of the city in place. And I do believe that the people, regardless of how they present their information, have the best interests of the city. It's just not everybody agrees with approach. And I think that just be a little bit mindful of approach sometimes, because sometimes you get one document and you turn it into what you believe is the whole story, and it's not. And as Mr. Councilmember Curtis said, we've experienced that, and he's experienced that. Our president of council's experienced it. Our council member Curtis, newly appointed, right, newly elected, okay, and we have different conflicts, etc. So there's a lot more to what you just hear. It's not just a one line, okay? It's not just, oh, I'm gonna grab 5 documents and turn it into a story. There's a lot more. And a lot of times, we need to go into executive session to discuss them. And once again, I want to really just thank also, because this was really important to me, was this armory, and I want to thank Councilmember Charbonneau for that presentation that you did at the community forum on that, because I really think you understood it, and I think that that presentation was exactly what was needed out there. What I do want everybody to understand, though, is that we do have an audit, and there are criterias when it comes to an audit. And this is something that you do need to understand, that citizens may actually try to influence an audit by contacting auditors directly, lobbying elected officials and internal personnel, or publicly criticizing the audit process to pressure the auditors to reach a specific outcome. Depending on those circumstances, actively interfering with an audit could lead to legal repercussions, including charges of obstruction of justice or harassment. Repeatedly contacting auditors with unfounded complaints or attempting to intimidate them during the audit process is harassment of auditors. I do want you to know that there have been communications with our auditors with that attempt to do this that were continual. I do want you to know that there were messages left with the auditors regarding collusion with the city. I also want you to know that all of those messages have been taken and have been sent to the appropriate regulating authorities. So please, pay attention. Everything here is being done appropriately. You have an agenda, don't interfere with the audit process. I do want to thank everybody again for allowing me to serve as your mayor. It has been, I know, difficult for some because there was change, but nobody got hurt, okay? And the city's still standing. You got money in. You're all here, which is good. You're all healthy, I hope, and I want you to stay that way. And I want to thank everybody for standing up and running because it is not easy. So be fair, okay? These people are coming out and making a decision that says, I'm taking a part of my own life and I'm going to give up my family, I'm going to give up my job, and I am going to pay attention, okay, regardless of who I am as an individual, to what this city needs. And I believe that they all are sincere in wanting that. So enjoy the debates and enjoy all of that and be respectful and thank them all regardless of who ends up in these seats. The next item on the agenda is to set the next meeting, which was, we've corrected it, okay, the regularly scheduled council meeting of March 3rd. However, it is the annual public informational hearing followed with a council meeting. I do want everybody to know that I am trying again, like I did last year. I invited our legislators. I have gotten a response from one of them. I do believe both of them will be here. I anticipate that people will show up. We will have discussions, and so I'm hoping that that's the format that's going forward. I didn't tell anybody to cook anything or anything, but if anybody wants to bring cake, feel free to do. Okay. So may I please have a motion to set the annual public informational hearing followed by a council meeting for March 3, 2025.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Madam Mayor, will that be at 6 here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Will that be at 6 here?
Yeah, yes, it's at 6 o'clock, and it is here. If there's any change, I mean, I didn't ask for RSVP, so if there's any change, this is where we had it last time. I'm sure we can figure out, but I think we should be fine here. The next item on the agenda is adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn the regular council meeting at 7:44 p.m.?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. The motion is carried. Everybody, thank you.